News every 15 minutes, weather every 10, and sports twice an hour.
Newstalk, KGVO, AM 1290 and 101.5 FM.
You're listening to Montana Morning with Peter Christian.
Hey, look what I found all over the highway. Good morning, everyone. It's Montana Morning. It is Monday, May the 9th, 2016. This is commencement week at the University of Montana. Commencement coming up this Saturday. J.K. Simmons will be the guest speaker. 43 degrees in Missoula right now, a partly cloudy sky throughout western Montana. Our newscast this morning, sponsored by Nissan Hyundai of Missoula, celebrating their grand opening sale, offering top dollar for your trade-in and 0% financing up to 72 months. Early Friday morning, 61-year-old Stephen Spanbauer was driving from Spokane on his way to Coon Rapids, Minnesota, when he rolled his pickup truck at mile marker 89 and his cargo spilled out onto the highway. Deputy Missoula County Attorney Celine Kepke tells the story.
The defendant crashed his trunk on an off-ramp and bags of marijuana scattered about as a result. He admitted to transporting 35 pounds of marijuana, which was packaged in 70 different half-pound bags and numerous edible marijuana products.
Kepke said Spanbauer told a cryptic tale to arresting officers, which only made his situation worse.
He admitted to be driving from Washington to a location somewhere east that he would not disclose, and he admitted that he was transporting the drugs for a dealer. Again, he would not disclose that person. He identified the cash in his possession as his gas money. He has no ties to Montana, given that the state believes he's a very great flight risk.
Judge Karen Orzak set bail for Spanbauer at $25,000 and remanded him to the Missoula County Jail. His next court appearance is May 20th. An investigator with the Montana Human Rights Bureau says there's no reason to believe that Lee Enterprises discriminated against former Missoulian editor Sherry Devlin. Devlin filed a complaint alleging that the company discriminated against her based on her age and sex by demoting her, reducing her pay, and hiring a younger, less qualified man to replace her. Investigator Dennis Unsworth says his investigation found publisher Mark Heinzelman set a high standard for the leadership style he wanted in the newsroom, and that both he and Devlin determined she wasn't suited to that style of leadership. In February, Devlin filed a wrongful discharge lawsuit against Lee Enterprises, alleging her work conditions were so intolerable she was forced to resign in November of 2015. That case is still pending. Unsworth issued his findings in April. All year, Missoula's been facing a steady stream of crime, but according to Missoula County Attorney Kirsten Papps, the types of crimes her office had to deal with last week were varied.
We've got a assault on a minor, obstructing justice, which generally involves hiding a fugitive or helping a fugitive escape, criminal mischief, criminal endangerment, partner family member assault. We have a theft, 2 assaults with a weapon, felony DUI, which is a fourth or subsequent deceptive practices, violation of an order of protection, and 2 burglaries to boot.
Although there was a lot of variety last week, Papps says her office has also been seeing 2 types of crime with greater consistency, namely drug crimes involving methamphetamine and partner and family member assault. A citizens' initiative seeking to expand the rights of Montana crime victims and their families is qualified for the November ballot. Secretary of State officials said Friday that advocates for the measure known as Mary's Law have collected the minimum number of signatures required, 48,349, gathered from 40 legislative districts. Advocates' signature gathering efforts were relatively speedy, and the measure took about 5 months in all to qualify. It's the first of 10 initiatives currently in circulation to qualify for the November ballot. The initiative would require authorities to inform victims of their or their families of key developments in a case and accord them the right to be heard in proceedings. If ratified by voters, Montana would join California and Illinois in enacting that measure. The national political website Emily's List recently released an online article entitled, "Will Ryan Zinke Play the Woman's Card in Montana?" Emily's List Press Secretary Rachel Morgan defines the meaning behind the article's headline.
Ryan Zinke has not stood up for women and families in Congress. He has supported extreme efforts in Congress to roll back women's access to health care, and he's even voted against allowing legislation like the Paycheck Fairness Act, which would help women get equal pay as men for equal work.
Congressman Zinke responded by stating he did not break down issues according to gender.
My daughter's a Navy diver. Certainly I had women in my command, and I do what is in the best interest of Montana, and I make my decisions decisions on the basis of is it constitutional? Is it in the best interest of public good in Montana without violating individual rights? And is it good for America?
Emily's List has come out strongly in support for current Superintendent of Public Instruction, a Democrat Denise Juneau, for Congress. Zinke is in his first term and is running for re-election. Search teams have recovered the body of a Montana man who drowned in Lake Powell in Utah. Authorities said Saturday, Utah Department of Public Safety divers located the body of 51-year-old Alan Robert DeLay. He was found late Friday near Lone Rock Beach in the Kane County portion of Waweep Bay. His body was transported to the Utah State Medical Examiner's Office in Salt Lake City. Investigators say DeLay of Lewistown was camping with his wife last Thursday. DeLay took an inflatable kayak onto the lake. Officials say strong winds pushed him overboard. He was not wearing a life jacket. He was seen in distress and then did not resurface when he disappeared underwater. University of Montana's College of Forestry and Conservation has been the recipient of at least 5 grants this year pertaining to a wide variety of studies. Forest ecology professor Andrew Larson and his team received 2 grants from the Joint Fire Science Program, one of which will look at how trees respond to fire.
The team was really well positioned because we had a unique data set in Yosemite National Park. 35,000 individually tagged trees that we've been monitoring as a long-term study. And then the site was burned in 2013. And so we had this great data set, and we were able to respond to this call for improving post-fire tree mortality models.
Larson said they tagged the trees with steel markers back in 2009 in expectation of a forest fire. The analysis will help foresters decide what to do with trees in a burnt-over area.
It's often very controversial would be deciding out on the ground, does this tree have a high probability of dying and should we mark it for salvage logging and take it to the mill? Or does this tree have a high probability of survival, even though it went through a fire, and should we leave it on the landscape to continue to provide habitat, fix carbon, do all the things that trees do for us?
The 2 grants that Larson's part of alone total more than $600,000. Other forestry research projects will be investigating how pest management techniques compared after a fire and how wildlife impacts human populations. And the Yellowstone County Sheriff's Office says a woman passed out on a commercial flight from Chicago to San Francisco, and the plane made an emergency landing at the Billings Logan International Airport Saturday night. A Sheriff's Department dispatcher said the woman was later pronounced dead. An autopsy is scheduled to determine the cause of death, but authorities say she had medical issues. The woman was not identified. According to the Billings Gazette, the flight was a Star Alliance Boeing 737 that left Chicago at about 7 p.m. And businesses that offer tour helicopter rides in Glacier Park are fighting off criticism that the helicopters are making too much noise and disturbing visitors, saying noise pollution is kept to a minimum and not disturbing the wildlife and tranquility of one of the jewels of the national park system. Mary McClellan said she's sending a letter to federal officials saying the helicopters are a nuisance and asking their help in getting the tours grounded. According to the Missoula newspaper, the tour company operators, of course, disagree. They say the noise lasts less than a minute, and motorcycles are a much bigger noise nuisance in the park. Our News Talk time now, 6:12.
Newstalk, KGVO.
Missoula's official weather station.
Mostly cloudy to cloudy skies with rain likely. Afternoon temperatures will be in the low 50s. Winds will be breezy with wind gusts up to 15 miles per hour. Showers expected this evening with our lows dropping into the 30s. I'm meteorologist Brooke Foster for KECI 13.